My vegetarian friend kept eating half my meals, so I finally stopped letting her share. For almost 2 years, Hazel and I have been going out to eat together, and somewhere along the way, she decided that being vegetarian meant she got to eat my food whenever she wanted, but I could never touch hers. It started small, just a fry here or a bite of my burger there, and I let it slide because I usually like sharing food. I'm the kind of person who orders extra appetizers so everyone can try things. But with Hazel, it turned into this one-sided routine where she'd order the cheapest thing on the menu, then act like half my meal was already hers. She'd get a side salad or a cup of soup, then the second my plate hit the table, her fork would show up. If I ever joked about sharing her food, she'd smile and say, "Oh no, you wouldn't want this. It's vegetarian." 2 months ago, we went to a diner. She ordered oatmeal and fruit for $6. I got eggs, bacon, home fries, toast, and pancakes. Before I finished my first bite, she had already taken 3 pancakes and half my bacon without asking. She kept talking like nothing was weird while I stared at my plate getting emptier. Then last month, we went to an Italian place. She ordered soup and a small salad. I got chicken parmesan because I was starving. When it came out, she said, "Oh, that looks amazing. Can I try some?" I thought she meant 1 bite, so I said sure. She cut off 4 pieces of chicken, took most of the cheese and sauce with them, and left me with the dry edge pieces. I finally said, "Okay then, let me try your soup." She laughed, pulled the bowl closer, and said, "Trust me, you wouldn't like it. There's no protein in here." That was when I stopped pretending this wasn't a thing. She was ordering tiny meals to save money and planning to fill up on mine, so I came up with a plan. If she only wanted my food because it was easy to pick through, then I'd order something she couldn't share without ruining it. Last week we went to our usual Mexican place. I was craving nachos, but I already knew what would happen if I got the regular ones. So when the waiter came over, I said, "Can I get the carne asada nachos, extra meat, and add chorizo too?" Hazel lit up. She looked at the waiter and said, "Perfect, nachos are great for sharing. Can you put the steak on one side so I can have some?" I looked straight at him and said, "Actually no. Can you mix the steak and chorizo all the way through? I want meat in every bite." The waiter looked back and forth between us. Hazel's smile dropped. She said, "Wait, why would you do that?" I shrugged and said, "That's how I like them." She crossed her arms and said, "Well, if I knew we weren't sharing, I would have ordered something bigger." I kept my voice calm and said, "You still can. He hasn't left yet." Hazel glanced at the menu, then handed it back and said, "No, never mind." As soon as the waiter walked away, she leaned in and said, "This is ridiculous. I'm trying to save money. I thought we were splitting like we always do." I finally said, "We don't always split. I share with you. You never share with me." She stared at me and said, "That's not fair. You can eat vegetarian food anytime you want." I said, "Except every time I ask, you tell me I won't like it." She grabbed her water and went quiet. About 10 minutes later, the nachos came out, and they were perfect. Steak and chorizo were buried through every layer under cheese, jalapenos, sour cream, and guacamole. There was no clean corner, no easy side to steal from, no way to pick around it. I took the first bite and said, "Wow, these are good." Hazel looked down at her salad like it had betrayed her. It had barely any dressing, some lettuce and cherry tomatoes. She poked at it and said, "Wow, I'm still hungry." I smiled and said, "You should order something else. The quesadillas here are good." A few minutes later, she looked at my plate again and said, "Those nachos would be perfect without all that meat." I said, "Probably not for me." Then she sighed and said, "I can't believe you're doing this." I asked, "Doing what? Eating the food I ordered?" After that, every few bites, she made another comment. I wish I'd gotten something more filling. I didn't know this was going to be a whole thing. "You know I don't eat meat." Each time I gave the same answer. "Then order something that fills you up." She never did, because the whole point was to eat mine instead of paying for more of her own. By the end, I'd finished every last chip while she still had half a sad salad left. When the checks came, hers was $11 and mine was $19. She looked at them and said, "Wow, you spent so much more than me." I said, "Yeah, because I ordered a real meal." She went quiet and scrolled on her phone. On the drive home, she kept saying she was starving and would probably have to stop somewhere else for food. I kept my eyes on the road and said, "Maybe next time order a meal instead of planning on mine." She turned toward the window and didn't say another word. Now she's saying I humiliated her over food. Was I really wrong?